Red 2 standing by, all 4 lit and in the green. Welcome back to Super Mario Odyssey, where it is time to torture an art critic. And myself. Picture match. It is time to wind up making a Goomba. Thankfully, this one doesn't have quite as many facial features, so we know a lot of the lines wind up fading, so that about there. Then that about there. I forgot to look at which way the eyes were meant to go, so I'm putting them looking over this way. Probably could have done a better job with the eyebrow. Thankfully, this one is pretty easy to, in theory, fewer pieces than Mario. Ah. So it all needed to be a little bit lower. That is justifiably terrible. I'm not actually going to jump on you for this one. I'll see if I can get it in the next, like, handful of tries. Thank you. See, you're smart. You're actually smarter than your brethren in the Mushroom Kingdom. You received cranial trauma. And you decided, yes, this is actually very good. This is a passing mark. Mario has done very well. I am going to spare myself becoming a traumatized, brain-damaged mess because Mario beat the crap out of me for my terrible art critic skills. Mario is actually really just a horrible person now I think about it. Wait, is that one of the... I was just randomly running and trying to pick one of the locations and I'm like, is this the dark side art? Wait, what do I need to do? Where's... Oh yes, there is a moon that is very up. Are there multiple moons that are very up? Yeah, there's not really a lot to do here. Well, something's rumbling. Oh, rightio, so there is digging in the cloud, okay. So I have one all the way out here, and then one that's really high up, and that's it. Is this the note-taking one? Oh, I nearly died. Obviously, I've been too much of a grump. This one's kind of tricky. Because you really got to time your cap throws. And it dropped out from underneath me. Well, yeah, the game is definitely telling me I've been way too much of a grump. I need to be a lot more positive. I did at least talk about some of the books I liked, and maybe some of the projects, but yeah, it's going to be interesting actually getting around to doing some of the things that you're not supposed to do it like that. You've really got to get your timing right on this throw. I wish it would actually let me get those ones at the top. Alright, nicely done. Homing throw. Oh, I think we wrangled that pretty well. The homing throw is incredibly good, but yeah. I did wind up collecting a lot of the X-Wing books, and they've always been good. They've always been good reading. I'm very fond of the actual novel of Shadows of the Empire, and yeah, there's a few other quite good expanded universe works along the way too. I think most people will agree that the Thrawn trilogy it's generally held as one of the best. Timothy Zahn does do very good work, honestly. So I need to find out how to get up there. Ah, rightio, we go out here. There we are. Yeah, I'd probably have to sort of look at everything and see exactly what my favourites would be. But I do remember the compilation books like Tales of the Bounty Hunters. That's another one of my favourites. I really like that one. Because essentially it's like, okay, here are these minor characters from The Empire Strikes Back. Well, you've now got some interesting backstory about them. I just went slightly panicky because I didn't want to fall off. But yeah, you get some interesting backstory about them. It gave a very interesting story to Boba Fett, pretty much solidifying elements of his character because, interestingly, in the novel of The Empire Strikes Back, before Fett's characterization was really worked on, Boba Fett was a very much amoral character. We've finished everything. Yeah, Fett was a very much amoral character who was apparently very fond of scalping his victims and didn't really care that much. I realized that was a bad idea as soon as I started doing it. Didn't really care that much about what happened to them. Although, I've still got the crown at least. I could warp there. But I didn't think it was really worth worrying about. But yeah, things were changed around a little bit, so it's sort of... It's a bit of a mystery exactly what that one time was when it comes to the no disintegrations incident. I mean, it's mentioned in Boba Fett's story in Tales of the Bounty Hunters. It's very interesting to note that IG-88 also essentially wound up trying to start a droid revolution with three similar compatriots, because IG-88 awoke, slaughtered its creators, and wound up basically essentially building a droid revolution and taking out various humans and reprogramming droids. It attempted to eradicate pretty much anyone who knew what it was capable of. 20 out of 25. So where is the bird? Right up at the top, that's right. So, once IG-88 had wiped out anybody who knew anything about Holowan laboratories, it and the 3 other IG droids it had reprogrammed, there was actually an IG-72 that had awakened. It used its sentience to take over droid manufacturing plants, and it also used the fact that the Empire needed probe droids to allow it to spy on the galaxy, gather information, and essentially sort of spread the word of the droid revolution that was intended to happen. Oh, it's down there. Of course, things didn't quite plan out that way for it. Because, of course, when it took over the core of the Death Star, you knew... Taxi flying through Forgotten Isle. Okay, the binoculars. Where are the binoculars? Don't tell me they were up. That's going to be annoying if they were up. Hold on, I might as well grab a few more hits. But yeah, it was an interesting story. Then Dengar's focuses partly on his revenge over Han Solo and the fact that he wound up causing a lot of trouble for the Empire on a few occasions. And then after that... Well, he did wind up getting his one chance. He also wound up running into trouble with Jabba, trying to bring in Han Solo and failing. For his attempts to wind up claiming Han Solo from... I can't remember the exact circumstances. But essentially what happened is that because Dengar was involved, I think he got involved in some plots against Jabba, and was set to be sacrificed out in the desert. However, the dancing girl from the planet Arusa that Dengar had saved so it just jumps around. I hate these rabbits because it's like you catch them, then all of a sudden they're just back at full speed again. Like, there, I hit it. Caught hopping in the jungle. That's obviously not a moon rock one. Rightio, that one must come up a bit later. Where are the binoculars? Gonna have to find the binoculars, but yeah. So, Dengar was rescued from essentially being left to die in a desert sandstorm, and wound up starting a new life with Manaru, the dancing girl he'd wound up saving. Interestingly, he wound up rescuing Boba Fett from his escape from the Sarlacc pit, and the two wound up becoming business partners. For real, rather than any sort of animosity. Zuckuss and Forlom have very philosophical stories, in a sense. Their attempt... Because there's a whole lot of stuff about Gand meditation and their attempts to gain sort of their insights through meditation as well. Forlom is attempting to discover things like that for himself because he's very curious about such things despite being a droid. It does essentially show in a lot of cases that droids can be sentient. It's really interesting. So I need to find the Monitor. That's the moon. Down a bit. There we go. So yeah, there's that one. But interestingly, while they wind up staging a rescue, ideally, at least as far as they're concerned, they're staging a rescue with a plan to wind up handing everyone over to the Empire. But on the way, they wind up essentially becoming part of the Rebel Alliance for real. Where did it go? Where moon? Where it land? Where did it land? I took my eyes off the screen for a second and I didn't see where it landed. I was one tree off. But yeah, so that's the way their story goes. Bosk winds up being sort of the whipping boy, in a sense. He winds up having to deal with a couple of novice... with a novice bounty hunter, or at least a less experienced one, and her Wookiee partner. They're planning to... they're allegedly planning to hunt Han Solo and Chewbacca. But what their ultimate plan is to wind up catching Bosk in revenge for all the Wookiees he's hunted. And they essentially wind up using a little droid that takes over his ship, the Houndstooth, and gets him... and he winds up in a whole lot of... strife, potentially facing being killed and skinned, which, according to Trandoshan society, would essentially sort of null any points he's gained with their goddess, the Scorekeeper. There's a lot. It's worth noting that. So that according to Bosk's story, the Trandoshans have something called a Juggernaut score from hunting Wookiees and the like and defeating their enemies. An honourable death sort of lets you keep everything and you get to face the Scorekeeper with pride. But if something, like if you wind up dying in a really stupid way, or you're shamed somehow, your score gets zeroed, and it's essentially like going to hell for Trandoshans. Now I need to go back to the start to do the roving races, and then we're done with that. Boba Fett's covers a whole range of things, including tracking down the Deveronian you see in Chalmun's Cantina at the start of the sequence. That Deveronian, who goes by the alias Labria, Kadu Sai Malok, I obviously don't know the pronunciation, the Butcher of Montelian Serat, is tracked down, and among other things, and Fett winds up getting a bit of a tip in the process for one last showdown with Han Solo. It's a really good collection of stories, and there are things like... There's Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina as well, which interestingly reveals that the song played by the band when Luke and Obi-Wan enter is apparently called Mad About Me. Ah, cranial trauma. Alright, now we have to... Probably have to take a few shortcuts. Alright, I'm back in first. Alright, this way, and then we can sort of maneuver around, avoid Mr. Grabby Hands. But yeah, it's really interesting getting all those stories. You find out what happens to Greedo. Not great, really. But you do learn a lot of other interesting things. I think that was that might have been where you learned the bar was called Chalmun's Cantina, but then again, it might have been in the Star Wars Holiday Special, and we probably don't want to count that. Alright, well, this should have taken care of all the regular moons in the Lost Kingdom. Yep, very nice. We can go hit the moon rock. So, yeah, you had a story from the perspective of... or at least from the perspective of, or about, all of the different weird and wonderful species and characters in the bar. And that was kind of the beauty of Star Wars. There was just this little magic to it. There was a real sense of sort of magic and interest in being able to find out all those little things that the world felt so interconnected and creative. It was... Oh, there's just one there. The Shining Fruit. Might as well do the race while we're here. And there's a pipe somewhere. Alrighty. So, tropical wiggler time. Nope. Yes. But yeah, it's the anthology stories, the extra interesting stuff. And just being able to flesh out the worlds in creative ways that still feel distinct. That's what I love about Star Wars, in all fairness. Because it's almost a little too referential these days. It's like we know what... It's like, how do I best put it? There's a lot, like... There's a lot that's just sort of there for the sake of reference. In some ways. And like, oh no, ow, 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 ow. Yeah, some things were kind of done focusing on money, but there's still a bit of creativity. Like, I'm going to be positive on a few things. I do genuinely like some of the things they've done. I think they got things pretty right with The Mandalorian Season 1. Rogue One was fantastic. They've done a great job with Andor. Like, The Acolyte was good for trying something new, and it's the interesting thing. Like, not everything is going to be for everyone, but it's also worth remembering that we've all got different tastes and different approaches, and sometimes it's just worth trying out new things too. I mean, not all of the Legends stuff was for everyone either. There were some things that didn't quite work at all. Like, there were some silly books in there, but there was a lot that worked and was genuinely good fun. So honestly, not everything about it is going to be for you, but there was a lot of good stuff and they tried some things. Like, even if it wasn't necessarily great per se, I still like Solo. Did we need it? Ultimately, probably not. Do I think it was fun? Yes. Do I want more Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian? Absolutely. I do like the presentations, and I think I would have liked to see a little bit more opportunity for Alden Ehrenreich to take the time to make Han Solo his own role. Because, I mean, Harrison Ford sure wasn't going to mind. Please do a side somersault, Mario. I lost way too much time, and I'm going to have to restart because... See, there's another problem with the control finesse. It winds up... I can't just easily snap it around because those dead spots aren't there. Yeah, it would have been nice to see a little bit more that let other people wind up making the roles their own. Because that is going to happen eventually. We are going to have to get different people in the roles if we want to see those familiar characters. So why not go for it? But I guess whatever happens, happens. But I still did enjoy that movie. And I'm not 100% sure on The Mandalorian and Grogu, but I really, really would like to see a little bit more of the... I suppose there's a little bit of the nostalgia stuff. I would love to see Shadows of the Empire come back. I'd love to see Rogue Squadron and somebody else bringing Wedge Antilles into the limelight. There's a lot you can do, but even so, I'd like them to sort of move on and try different things as well, because I think that's the beauty of Star Wars in the end. The creative potential. The fact that there's so much you can do, so many amazing opportunities with wonderful worlds and great ideas. At least that's how I see it anyway. And I really hope we get those chances. There's something else. Where is it? Right there, actually. Well, I'll grab this. Jump down to the top of a tree. Very instructive. And then we've got... So there's Luigi. Ah, I sort of see where that is. Let's go back to Swamp Hill. Oh, righto. We need... I think we need grabby hands for that one. Alright, so what we need to do... Okay, so if I get this... So, okay, stand here. And from downtown, we get the moon. Sorry about that one, Cappy, but we did need that. It was for science. Anyway, we'll grab that one. Line it up, blow it up. And we still got a few more we can do. Wow, one all the way out there. Please don't tell me it's... Or is it a glide-on one? I suppose we can wind up going up here, and then we'll take a look in the next one. Okay, thank you very much for joining me. Till next time, this is Red 2, returning to base. The cover's come off again. How did I fail and succeed? I thought I was going to have to start the whole thing again.
No! Not into the pit! It burns!